Well, hello everyone. Welcome to P.B.M. Vending. So here's how we got to this point. I did a show a couple of days ago about, I think the title of it was all about money. And I went back and I like I always do, criticizing myself first. And I realized that most of that show only applied to people that had decent credit and could make a conscious decision to do certain financial things. And then I remembered, it wasn't that long ago that my credit rating was in the low 600s. And I just kept doing the same thing over and over, and time just caught up, I guess. But, so then I thought, well, how would I have gotten into this business if I'd have done it 15 years ago when I was making $7.50 an hour? How would I do that? So then I came up with this. The answer to that question is this video. And I realized that at the beginning, I wouldn't have one job, and that was to build the business. That I would have two jobs: build the business, build my credit. Why do I put those on the same level? It used to be years and years ago that if you filed bankruptcy, nobody really knew about it until you went to borrow money, and then only the lenders knew. So there was there was the social stigma, but it wasn't a bad thing. Today, your credit rating, which is given in a score, it's called the FICO score, that determines how much of a security deposit you put down on an apartment or in a car, the interest rate you get on your credit cards, if you're even able to open a checking or a savings account, and your insurance, your car insurance. Believe it or not, your credit rating has an impact on your auto insurance. My point is, it's important. So and I'm going to show you how to start this business with little or no credit. But I am going to preface that by saying, if you want to continue to grow and take advantage of a lot of that is out there, you're going to have to do new credit. So the first part, I'm going to talk about your first job, and that's to build your business without credit or with bad credit. And the second part is I'm going to give you some ideas on how to improve your credit score. All right, so if you need a credit card to buy online and you don't have a credit card, you still have a couple of options. Number one, I think you can use a debit card assuming you have the cash in the bank. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you can use cash. Now, this is one business that with a bad credit rating and a low income, you can still get started in this business. All right? Okay, yes, you won't be able to buy online, you won't be able to buy new machines. Okay? And so then the smart thing is, then you learn different ways to buy machines around you so that you can pay cash to individuals rather than credit to a company. So that means you're going to be buying used machines. So that means you need to save your money. Now, you say, well, I'm making minimum wage, or I'm a waitress, or I'm a waiter, and I don't make any money. Okay, how about this? How about use other people's money? Years ago, when I was very young and I was in the real estate business, I had over 31 units and I had no cash. It was all about financing and how you set up the sale. It's possible. Use other people's money. And one way you could do that is to buy an existing route by putting some cash down and letting the seller finance the rest. Now that works beautifully, but most sellers are going to check your credit rating, and when they find out that your credit rating isn't that great, that might be a problem. What about family? Could you borrow from your mom and dad or a cousin or somebody? Now, my original rule is always no secured loans. If you don't have credit, you're going to have to do some secured financing, and this could be one of them. What if you borrowed money from a family member and said, hey, I need $500 to buy 5 machines, and I will put it in writing that you own those machines if I miss a payment. That might work. You got to think outside the box. Here's another idea. What if you got a cosigner? I mean, if you're going to go buy a route and you've got some cash but you don't have any credit, have somebody cosign with you. Now, if your credit rating is bad, it's going to have to be somebody that knows that you're worthy of the money. And here's my last suggestion for one way to get your business started. How about a partner? A partner who has the things that you don't have. You have the drive and the time and the knowledge. Maybe somebody else has got cash and credit. Half of a pie is better than no pie at all. So you start a business, you get 10 or 20, however many machines with your partner, and then when that loan is paid off and you're done, then you two keep your 20 machines and you go out on your own and do your own with your own cash. Those are different ways you can get started if you can't borrow money and you have no credit. Now let's talk about job number 2, and that is cleaning up your credit and trying to establish a good credit rating. There's a couple of things you need to do right off the bat. And the first thing is you need to start to reestablish your credit. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is do some research about secured credit cards. And here's one of those examples where I said don't secure. Well, in this instance, you need a secure credit card. But do your research, and here's why. A lot of times you will find a credit card company that will give you, as an example, a $500 guaranteed credit card. And I would check it at credit unions specifically because they're very good at wanting people to restart their credit. And here's how the program usually works. You put $500 into a savings account, and they put a hold on that so you can't get it, and then they issue you a $500 credit card. Okay? Use it. Take that credit card and go spend $100 a month for, who knows, 6 months. And pay it off every month. Now, if you do your shopping properly, the credit card agreement will usually be something like, do all the right things for a year, and then we'll give you a $1,000 unsecured credit card. That's what you're looking for. So, and you're going to have to pay an annual fee. It's like when my credit rating was that bad and I went to buy a vehicle, I paid an absorbent amount of interest. It was probably usury. But I got it, and I made sure that they reported it, and I made my payments. So when you go to apply for this secured credit card, they're going to make their money. There's going to be an application fee and or high interest and or annual fee. I mean, there's a price to pay to get your credit back. But when you find a deal that is right, and remember, what we're looking for is an unsecured credit card at the end of this thing. So that's one of the first things you need to do, is you need to get an unsecured credit card. The second thing you need to do is to change your habits that got you there in the first place. You got bad credit because you got bad habits. Break your bad habits, whatever that takes. Tear up your credit cards. Pay only cash. I mean, do whatever it is you have to do, but you got to break those habits, because even if we get you through the short term, if you don't break your habits, you're going to be right back in the soup in 2 years. Now, you can get professional help. I mean, in our city, we have what's called a credit counseling service. And you go in there with your financial problems, and they'll make suggestions, and they'll tell you things that you can do. You can contact your credit bureaus, and they will give you guidelines on how to build your credit, how to get bad things off of your credit report, inaccurate things, how to fight them, that kind of thing. You could also go to banks, because banks will have unsecured credit cards. The problem with banks is there's a lot more fees than if you go to a credit union. I strongly suggest a credit union if you can find one. And then I would research. I would every time I went to make a credit decision, I would research. What kind of credit card do I get? And I'd research the different kinds. Do I want points? Do I want cash back? Do I want low interest rate? Do I want 12 months free financing for transferring balance? I mean, whatever it is you need, you find the correct credit card and make that happen. Now, you can get free credit reports from your credit bureau, and there is a place called freecreditreport.com. I think that's the name of it. And but by law, there's 3 credit bureaus, and all 3 of them are required to give you one free credit bureau a year. Take advantage of that. You can't fix your problem if you don't know what the problem is. Once you find that out, contact the businesses that have got issues with you. It may be a mistake. It may be something as simple as they missed a payment, and if you can prove they made a payment, get them to take it off. But whatever you do, get an agreement from them that if you do XYZ, they will do ABC. XYZ is to either pay them off, show proof, do something. And then once that's done, then they will take that off of your credit bureau. Now, I have not been into the credit reporting business for many, many years since I've been out of the business, okay? But when I got back in, I learned a lot of things very quickly because I needed to. One of the new things they have recently added is how you pay your monthly bills as into your credit bureau. I think that's a great idea. I mean, and what do I mean? I mean, your utility bill, your gas bill, your AT or your computer bill, your online bill, whatever that's called, your cell phone bill. However you pay those bills reflects on your credit, and it should, because your credit is a reflection of how you pay your bills. I would also strongly suggest that any of these things that I talk about, you do them through a credit union and not a bank. And I will give you one quick example to show my point. In the last video I talked about I went to get a line of credit for my checking account, and the credit union gave it to me. Then I tried to do the same thing at a bank, and here's where I noticed the differences. The bank wanted to charge me every single month whether I was using the line of credit or not. The credit union did not. The credit union or the bank wanted to take it in increments of, I don't remember, $25 or $50 increments to cover a check. The credit union did not. The bank wanted to charge me interest from the second that they loaned the money. The credit union said, if you pay it off by the end of the month, there is no interest. There's a big difference between a bank and a credit union, and I would try to establish a relationship with the credit union. Well, I feel like I went long. I can't see my timer. But I just felt like this was important enough, and probably a very large problem, especially in this industry, trying to get started if you have no credit. So I wanted to do a video giving you ideas on how to build a business with no credit and very little cash, and also some ideas on how to improve and build your credit rating. I probably should have made up 2 programs. I might do that in the future. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. If you would, reach down there and please press subscribe and the little bell next to it. That way you'll know anytime we put out a new video. And thanks for listening. Bye now.